The rain poured hard as Jake drove home late at night. His phone kept buzzing. He was late to pick up his son from daycare. But then, he saw it. A fancy car on the side of the road, lights flashing in the dark. Jake slowed down. Someone was in trouble. He stopped his truck and got out. A woman stood near the car, soaked and shaking. "I have a flat tire," she said quickly. "I don't know how to fix it." "Don't worry. I'll help," Jake replied. For the next 20 minutes, Jake worked in the cold rain, fixing the tire. His hands were dirty, and his clothes were wet, but he didn't stop. When he finished, the woman smiled weakly. "Thank you so much. You didn't have to do this." Jake shrugged. "It's no big deal." As he drove away, he didn't think much about it. But what he didn't know was that this small act of kindness would change his life forever. Jake's life was hard, really hard. Since his wife passed away 2 years ago, he'd been doing everything alone. His 6-year-old son, Liam, was the center of his world, but raising him wasn't easy. Every morning, Jake woke up before sunrise to get to his job at a warehouse. After work, he often picked up extra jobs, fixing cars or delivering packages, to make ends meet. Even then, money was tight. The rent was due, Liam needed new shoes, and the truck that broke down every other week didn't help either. That evening, after helping the woman with her flat tire, Jake finally reached the daycare. Liam sat quietly in the corner, clutching his backpack. "Sorry I'm late, buddy," Jake said, kneeling to hug him. "It's okay, Dad," Liam replied, though his sad eyes said otherwise. On the way home, Jake felt guilty. He hated being late, hated not having enough time for Liam. But what could he do? Life kept pushing him down, and all he could do was keep moving forward. At home, they ate dinner together, a simple meal of pasta and canned sauce. Jake tried to smile, telling Liam about his day. "I helped someone today," he said. "Her car had a flat tire." "That was nice, Dad," Liam said, smiling faintly. But Jake didn't feel like a hero. To him, it was just one small thing in a long list of things he did to survive. What Jake didn't know was that this small thing would soon lead to something big, something that would change their lives forever. A few days later, Jake was working at the warehouse when his boss called him over. "Someone's here to see you," he said, nodding toward the office. Jake frowned. Who would come looking for him at work? He walked into the small office and froze. There she was, the woman from the rainy night. She looked different now, dressed in a sharp suit, her hair perfectly styled. But her smile was the same. "Hi, Jake," she said warmly. "Do you remember me?" "Of course," Jake replied, still confused. "How did you find me?" "I tracked you down," she admitted with a small laugh. "I wanted to thank you properly." Jake shifted uncomfortably. "It was nothing, really." "It wasn't nothing," she said firmly. "You helped me when I needed it most, and I want to help you now." Jake shook his head. "I don't need anything." The woman, Claire, as she introduced herself, didn't give up. "Let me explain. I own a company and we're hiring. You seem like someone who works hard and cares about others. I'd like to offer you a job, a better one than this." Jake stared at her, stunned. A better job? It sounded too good to be true. I don't know what to say," he stammered. "Say yes," Claire said with a smile. "You've earned it." That evening, Jake told Liam about the offer. At first, Liam was excited. "Does this mean we can fix the truck?" he asked hopefully. Jake chuckled. "Maybe. But more importantly, it means I'll have more time for you." As Jake thought about Claire's offer, he realized something. This wasn't just about him. It was about giving Liam a better life. For the first time in years, Jake felt a spark of hope. And it all started with a flat tire on a rainy night. Jake's first day at Claire's company was nerve-wracking. He wore his only clean button-up shirt, ironed hastily that morning, and carried a notebook to look professional. Claire greeted him warmly. "Welcome aboard, Jake. I'll show you around." She introduced him to the team and explained his role as a logistics coordinator. It wasn't glamorous work, but it paid better than his old job, and came with opportunities to grow. "You've got potential," Claire told him during their first meeting. I'll teach you everything you need to know. Jake nodded, determined to prove her right. First, things were tough. The software they used was complicated, and Jake felt out of place among coworkers who seemed so polished and confident. But he didn't give up. Every night after tucking Liam into bed, he studied manuals and watched tutorials online. Slowly but surely, he began to catch on. The change in Jake's life was noticeable almost immediately. With a steady paycheck, he fixed the truck, bought Liam new clothes, and even signed him up for soccer practice. "Dad, this is awesome," Liam said one evening, kicking a ball across the yard. Jake smiled, watching his son laugh. For the first time in years, they weren't just surviving, they were thriving. Claire noticed Jake's dedication too. "You're doing great," she said during one of their check-ins. "Have you thought about taking leadership courses? You could move up quickly if you wanted to." Jake hesitated. "Leadership? Him? I don't know if I'm ready for that," he admitted. "Yes, you are," Claire insisted. "Trust me. You've already shown what kind of leader you are by helping others, like you did for me." Her words stuck with him. Maybe he could do more. Over the next few months, Jake threw himself into learning. He took classes, asked questions, and volunteered for extra projects. His coworkers started noticing his hard work, and soon he earned their respect. But the biggest change was at home. With his new schedule, Jake had more time for Liam. They spent weekends hiking, building model cars, or just talking about school and friends. One evening, as they sat together under the stars, Liam looked up at him. "Dad, are you happy now?" Jake paused, thinking about how far they'd come. "Yeah, buddy, I think I am." And for the first time in a long time, he meant it. As Jake settled into his new role, he noticed something about Claire's company. It cared about its employees. There were programs for mental health support, scholarships for workers' kids, and even emergency funds for families in crisis. It inspired Jake to do more. One day, during a team meeting, he spoke up. "What if we had a program to help employees going through tough times? Like financial assistance or mentorship?" Claire smiled. "That's a great idea, Jake. Why don't you lead it?" Jake blinked, surprised. "Me? Yes, you," she said firmly. "You've been through hard times. You know what people need." With Claire's support, Jake launched the Second Chance Initiative. The program offered grants, counseling, and training to employees facing personal challenges. Word spread quickly, and soon dozens of workers were benefiting from it. One evening, a young coworker named Maria approached Jake after work. "Thank you," she said softly. "The grant helped me pay my mom's medical bills. I don't know what I would have done without it." Jake nodded, remembering how it felt to be on the receiving end of kindness. "We're all in this together," he replied. The initiative didn't just help others, it brought the team closer. Coworkers started supporting each other more, sharing stories and advice. Jake became a trusted figure, someone people turned to when they needed guidance. At home, Liam noticed the change too. "Dad, everyone at your work loves you," he said one night over dinner. Jake laughed. "Not everyone, but I try my best." "You're like a superhero," Liam added with a grin. Jake shook his head. "No, buddy. I'm just trying to make things better. For us, for them, for everyone." And that was the truth. Jake wasn't doing this for recognition. He was doing it because someone had once given him a second chance, and now he wanted to pass it on. Through his actions, Jake proved that kindness isn't just about helping one person. It's about creating a chain reaction that lifts up entire communities. Years passed, and Jake's life looked nothing like it had before that rainy night. He was now a senior manager at Claire's company, respected by his peers and admired by his team. The Second Chance Initiative had grown into a nationwide program, helping thousands of families overcome hardships. But the biggest change was at home. Liam, now a teenager, was thriving. He excelled in school, played soccer, and even started volunteering at a local shelter, inspired by his dad's example. One evening, as they sat together watching TV, Liam turned to Jake. "Dad, remember when we used to eat canned pasta every night?" Jake chuckled. "How could I forget? Things are so different now," Liam said thoughtfully. You did all this for us. Jake shook his head. Not just for us, buddy. For everyone who needed a hand. That's what life's about. Helping each other. The next day, Jake received an email from Claire inviting him to speak at a leadership conference. Nervous but honored, he accepted. Standing on stage in front of hundreds of people, Jake shared his story. I didn't think fixing a flat tire would change my life, he said, his voice steady. But it taught me something important. One act of kindness can start a ripple effect. And when someone helps you, the best way to say thank you is to pay it forward. The audience erupted into applause, many wiping away tears. Afterward, a young man approached Jake. Your story gives me hope, he said. I want to be like you someday. Jake smiled. You already are. Just keep helping others. As Jake walked out of the conference hall, he felt a deep sense of fulfillment. His life hadn't been easy, but every struggle had led him here, to a place where he could make a difference. And it all started with one simple decision: to stop and help a stranger on a rainy night. What did you think of Jake's incredible journey? Was there a moment that truly resonated with you? Maybe it was when he stopped on that rainy night, not knowing it would change his life forever. Or perhaps it was when he realized that helping others wasn't just about paying back the kindness he received. It was about creating a ripple effect of hope and compassion. Stories like Jake's remind us that even in our toughest moments, we have the power to make a difference. Whether it's lending a hand to someone stranded on the side of the road or supporting a coworker through a tough time, every act of kindness matters. Now, we'd love to hear from you. Have you ever experienced a moment where a small act of kindness changed your life or someone else's? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's inspire each other with stories of hope, resilience, and the goodness that exists in the world. If you enjoyed this heartwarming tale and want to read more stories that celebrate kindness, courage, and second chances, don't forget to subscribe. By subscribing, you'll be the first to know when we release new content. And trust us, there's so much more coming your way. And hey, if this story touched your heart, share it with a friend, family member, or anyone who could use a little inspiration today. After all, spreading kindness starts with sharing stories like this one.